In downtown Atlanta, Dr. Marcus Wright, a prominent black physician, faced a humiliating encounter he never expected. That evening, Marcus was celebrating a medical breakthrough with colleagues at the upscale restaurant Laley. The space is luxurious and bustling with lawyers, doctors, and business tycoons who often gather here to enjoy fine cuisine and discuss important issues. Marcus, a 32-year-old renowned doctor, was on hand to celebrate his groundbreaking achievement in his medical career. He enjoyed his victory, his confident demeanor and bright smile lit up the room. "Marcus, that was an incredible presentation today, you really outdid yourself," said Dr. Emily Harris, a close colleague. In a toast, "Thank you, Emily. It's been a long journey, but we've done it together," Marcus replied, clinking his glass with her. The jubilant mood was filled with laughter and lively conversations about their hard-won success. Suddenly, the lively atmosphere changed dramatically when two policemen entered the restaurant. Their majestic presence and stern expressions immediately attract attention. As they approached Marcus's table, the party stopped. "Excuse me, sir. We need to see your identification," a policeman demanded, brusquely asking Marcus directly, "What's the problem, police?" Marcus asked, trying to stay calm despite the sudden examination. "We're just doing our duty." "Sir, please present your identification," the police officer insisted, his tone filled with authority and firmness. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. He knew he did nothing wrong, but the policeman's attitude made him feel small and vulnerable. He showed his identification and the police checked with disdain. "Dr. Marcus, right?" the official said as he returned the ID card with a sarcastic smile. "You think your title gives you the right to be here?" Marcus's colleagues began to protest, but the officer continued to make racist comments and imply that a black man like Marcus did not deserve to be in such a prestigious place. The restaurant manager tried to intervene, but the officers chased him away, increasing Marcus's humiliation. "This is absurd. He's a respectable customer," the manager exclaimed, trying to defuse the situation. "Away." The officer glared at the manager. "We're handling this." After a long and uncomfortable interrogation, the officers finally released Marcus with a forced and insincere apology. Marcus remained calm, not wanting to show his pain. He returned home, his mind racing with the injustice he had just experienced. At home, Marcus found his brother, Thomas Wright, reading a book in his study. Thomas was a prominent civil rights lawyer and immediately sensed something was wrong. "Marcus, what happened?" Thomas asked. Concern etched on his face. "I was humiliated tonight," Marcus said, his voice shaking. "Two police officers approached me at the restaurant, made racist comments and treated me like a criminal." Anger flashed in Thomas's eyes. He hugged his brother, trying to comfort him. "This is unacceptable. I will take action immediately. They cannot treat you like that, or anyone else." The next day, Thomas used his influence to initiate an investigation into the policemen involved. Determined to uncover the truth, he begins reviewing cases involving police officers to look for any signs of wrongdoing. Meanwhile, Marcus and his colleague, Dr. Emily Harris, decide to conduct their own investigation. They analyze documents and records, uncovering a pattern of evidence of tampering and abusive behavior. "Look, Marcus," Emily pointed to an old file. "This case shows that witness statements were altered. I have no doubt that those policemen were involved." Marcus's outrage grew with each discovery. "This is more serious than we thought. We need to get this out in the open." With the help of investigative journalists, Marcus and Emily begin to make their findings public. The city was in uproar and the media began investigating the officers' history, uncovering a pattern of abuse and corruption. The officers felt pressured and tried to intimidate Marcus and Emily, following them and making veiled threats. But Marcus refused to back down. "The truth needs to come out, Emily. We cannot let this corruption continue. We need justice, not just for me but for everyone who has been victimized. Community support began to increase. Civil rights groups joined Marcus, organizing protests and pushing for a broader investigation. The city has been divided between those who support the police and those who demand urgent reform. "We're with you, Marcus," chanted protesters outside the courthouse. Justice now. Thomas, for his part, faces his own dilemma. When reviewing old cases, he found more and more evidence that he unintentionally condemned people based on fabricated evidence. The responsibility weighed heavily on his shoulders. But he knew he had to do the right thing. "We need to review all of these cases," Marcus said, determined. "We cannot let these injustices continue." "You're right, Marcus," Thomas replied with a determined look. Expose the truth at all costs. The tension comes to a head when a public hearing is scheduled to discuss police conduct and Marcus's findings. The courtroom was packed, the entire city watched attentively. Marcus stood in court, giving emotional testimony. He spoke about the incident at the restaurant, his investigation, and the evidence he discovered. Every word is charged with emotion, highlighting the impact of racism and corruption on the justice system. "Here is the evidence," Marcus said, holding up documents and records. "These officers falsified evidence to ensure a quick conviction. They betrayed the public trust and used their power to oppress instead of protect." Under pressure, one of the officers involved finally confessed that they had followed orders from their superiors to secure a conviction, exposing a corruption scheme far beyond what anyone had ever imagined. The city was shocked. Thomas was overwhelmed with an emotional speech about justice and responsibility. "We must right these wrongs and ensure our system is fair to everyone. We cannot let corruption destroy public confidence in our justice system." The once divided city has begun to unite around reforms. Several senior officers were fired and prosecuted, and a large-scale review of old cases was initiated. Marcus and Emily worked tirelessly to help the victims of this conspiracy achieve justice. Marcus is now a recognized and respected figure, having launched a non-profit organization, provides legal assistance to individuals who have been wronged. With the support of his fellow brothers and the community, he continues to fight for a more just and equitable system. The city was transformed by Marcus' courage and tireless pursuit of truth, looking to the future with hope. His story is not only about justice but also about resilience and the importance of never giving up the fight for a better world. News of the incident involving Marcus at the restaurant spread quickly, causing outrage and heated debate. The streets were filled with protests demanding justice and police reform. Despite all the attention, Marcus remains focused on his mission with Emily. He knows he has a long and difficult road ahead. In their small office downtown, Marcus and Emily worked tirelessly to assemble a giant puzzle about corruption in the police department. The place was filled with folders, notes and a whiteboard covered with diagrams and names connected by red lines. "Marcus, look at this," Emily said, pulling out an old file. "This case shows that witness statements were altered. I'm sure these policemen were involved." Marcus scanned the document very quickly. "You're right, Emily. This is a pattern we've seen over and over again. Testimonies are altered, evidence is planted, convictions are forced. We need to expose this." As they work, community support continues to grow. Civil rights organizations, lawyers, and even some local politicians began to rally behind Marcus. The city's atmosphere is tense but full of hope. That afternoon, Marcus and Emily visited one of the victims who they believed had been wrongly convicted. Thomas Johnson, a 50-year-old man serving a 20-year prison sentence for armed robbery, has always maintained his innocence. "Thomas, we're here to help," Marcus explained. "We have found evidence that you were wrongly convicted. We want to fight for your freedom." Thomas was silent for a moment, looking at them with hope mixed with pain. "I always knew I was the scapegoat. Those policemen fabricated evidence. I am innocent. Marcus and Emily spent hours with Thomas gathering statements and reviewing documents. They left more determined than ever to bring justice to Thomas and others who were victims of corrupt officers. The next day, a large demonstration was held in front of the police station. Marcus was invited to speak. With microphone in hand, he addressed the crowd. "Today we demand justice," Marcus began, his voice determined and filled with emotion. "We cannot continue to tolerate racism, corruption, and abuse of power. I am a doctor, but above all, I am a citizen who believes in justice and equality. Urgent reform is needed in the police and justice systems. We need to ensure that everyone, regardless of skin color or social status, gets a fair trial." The crowd erupted in applause and cheers of support. Marcus continued, "We have found evidence that officers were planting evidence and manipulating witnesses. This was not only an attack on innocent individuals but also a betrayal of public trust. We need a full and transparent investigation." As Marcus spoke, he could see hope on everyone's faces. Inside the police station, officers watched the protest with gloomy expressions. Faces that knew the pressure on them was increasing. "This is ridiculous," a policeman muttered, his face red with anger. "She's making us look like monsters. We need to do something to discredit her," his colleague replied. "If this continues, we could lose our jobs or worse." That night, Marcus and Emily continue their investigation in his office, surrounded by piles of documents. "We have to be careful," Marcus said. "These police are dangerous and will do anything to stop us," Emily nodded. "I know, but we're doing the right thing. We need to keep going." Meanwhile, Thomas is struggling with his own turmoil. As he reviews old cases and encounters more evidence of wrongful convictions based on fabricated evidence, his guilt weighs heavily on him, but so does his determination to right the wrongs of the past. "Dad, how are you?" Marcus walked into his home office. "I know this is very difficult for me." Thomas looked at his brother, his eyes showing pain and worry. "I'm fine, Marcus. I just need to make sure that justice is served. I can't change the past, but I can fight to make sure this doesn't happen again." Marcus hugged his brother tightly, feeling the strength and love that had always united them. "We will get through this together. We can change this." The following days were stressful. Marcus and Emily continue to gather evidence while the city rallies to support their cause. A public hearing was scheduled and pressure on the police department increased. At the hearing, Marcus presented his findings eloquently and passionately, impressing everyone. He detailed how officers planted evidence and manipulated statements to support him, accompanying his complaint with documents and witness statements. The courtroom was silent as he spoke every word with truth and justice. "These officers betrayed our trust," Marcus said, looking directly at the defendant. "They have used their power to oppress instead of protect. We cannot let this continue." One of the policemen, under pressure of evidence and public scrutiny, finally confessed. "I confess," he said, his voice shaking. "I was forced to give evidence and change my testimony. We received orders from above. There was constant pressure to get a quick verdict, regardless of whether the defendant was actually guilty or not. The impact of the confession was immediate." The room erupted in whispers and screams of outrage. Judge Thomas Wright remained calm, asked for silence and continued to listen attentively to the testimony. Another officer, seeing that no one escaped, also decided to speak up. "It's true. We are encouraged to manipulate evidence and secure convictions, all to improve statistics and receive rewards." Marcus felt both relieved and sad. Relieved that the truth was finally exposed, but sad to see how widespread the corruption had become. "These acts not only betray the public trust but also destroy lives," Marcus said, his voice filled with emotion. "It is imperative that not only the guilty are punished but that deep reforms are made to prevent things like this from happening again." Thomas, with a serious and determined look on his face, thanked Marcus and the other testimonies. This court is committed to ensuring that justice is served and necessary reforms are adopted. We cannot allow such abuses to continue to taint our justice system. The hearing was adjourned for outside discussion. The city was abuzz with discussions and protests. Marcus and Emily left the courthouse, surrounded by supporters and journalists. "Marcus, how do you feel that the truth is being revealed?" a reporter asked, pushing the microphone toward him. "I feel that we have taken an important step, but the fight is not over yet. We need to ensure that reforms are implemented and that all victims of this scheme get justice," Marcus answered firmly. Inside the police station, the atmosphere was tense and fearful. Many police officers know their careers are in danger and senior officers are worried about the consequences. "We need to act quickly," the sheriff said in a meeting with his advisors. "Let's cooperate with the investigation and try to salvage what we can of our reputation." In the following days, the city saw a series of firings and arrests within the police department. Senior officers were prosecuted and a large-scale review of old cases was initiated. Marcus and Emily have dedicated themselves to helping victims get new hearings and overturn unfair verdicts. Thomas Johnson was one of the first people to benefit from Marcus's help. He received a new hearing and was exonerated of all charges. The smile on his face as he left the courthouse, finally free, was proof of the positive impact of Marcus' fight. "Thank you, Marcus. You saved my life," Thomas said through tears. "It's not just me, Thomas. It's a joint effort and we will continue to fight so that no one else has to endure what you did," Marcus replied touchingly. As the city goes through these changes, Marcus continues to meet with his team to plan the next steps. His nonprofit organization is growing and he receives increasing support from various sectors of society. During one of these meetings, Emily made a proposal. "Marcus, I think we should expand our activities. Besides providing legal assistance, we can create educational programs to raise awareness about rights and how to fight abuses." Marcus smiled when he saw Emily's enthusiasm and passion. "That's a great idea, Emily. We need to educate and empower our community. Let's do it." The following months were marked by intense work but also significant achievements. Marcus and his team have managed to overturn several unjust convictions and help many victims rebuild their lives. The impact of their work began to be recognized nationally, and other cities began implementing reforms, inspired by Marcus's fight. One day, Marcus received an unexpected call from a high-ranking federal government representative, inviting him to a meeting in Washington, D.C. to discuss national police reform policies. "It's a great opportunity," Marcus told Emily. He was so excited. "Our work is making a difference and now we can help transform the entire country." Emily felt both proud and responsible. "Let's get to Washington, then. There's still work to be done, but we're moving in the right direction." Upon arriving in Washington, Marcus was received with respect and admiration. During the meeting, he shared his experiences and presented policy proposals based on reforms implemented in his city. His eloquence and knowledge impressed government representatives, who pledged to seriously consider his proposals. In Atlanta, Marcus continued his tireless work. With each new victory, he felt he was getting closer to his goal of a fair and equitable system. His foundation is growing, helping more people and driving significant change. One night, while reviewing documents in his office, Marcus received an unexpected visit. It was Thomas with a proud smile on his face. "Marcus, you did it," Thomas said, tears welling up in his eyes. "You've made a real difference. I'm so proud of you." Marcus hugged his brother tightly, feeling the weight and joy of his journey. "There's still work to be done, but together we will continue to fight." Thomas nodded, knowing that his brother was an unstoppable force. "We will work for a better future for everyone." And so, Marcus continues to fight, inspiring others to join in and never give up the fight for justice and equality. His city was transformed by his actions, looking to the future with hope and determination. Ready to face any challenge in the name of justice. The following months brought profound changes to Atlanta. Reforms implemented in the police department are starting to show tangible results, with reduced cases of abuse of power and greater transparency in operations. Marcus's foundation continues to fight for justice and human rights, helping those who have been victims of a corrupt system. Marcus is in his office reviewing new cases when Emily walks in with good news. "Marcus, we just received a significant donation from a group of local businessmen. They want to support our cause and help expand our programs." Marcus smiled, feeling a wave of gratitude. "That's great, Emily. With these resources, we can help even more people and maybe even open branches in other cities." The fund not only grows in resources but also in influence. Marcus is regularly invited to speak at conferences and universities about the importance of justice and equality. His story and work have inspired many to join the fight for a fair system. One morning, Marcus received an unexpected letter. It was from a young lawyer in a neighboring city who reported similar corruption problems in his police department. He asked for help and guidance on how to start an investigation and fight for reforms. "Emily, we need to help this young man," Marcus said, showing her the letter. "He is facing a very similar situation to ours and needs guidance." "Of course, Marcus. Please invite him to spend time with us so he can learn from our experiences and bring those lessons back to his city." A young lawyer named Raphael arrived a few days later. Marcus and Emily welcome him and begin sharing their investigative strategies and methods. Raphael is determined to make a difference in his city, inspired by Marcus's work. As Atlanta continues to transform, once divided communities now work together to sustain reforms and ensure justice is served. New education and awareness programs have been launched in local schools and organizations, promoting the values of equality and human rights. At a community event, Marcus was invited to speak. When he walked on stage, he looked out at the crowd and felt a wave of pride and gratitude. "We are here today to celebrate the progress we have made together," he began, but also to remember that the fight for justice is continuous. "We need to be vigilant and united." Conclude. The crowd applauded and Marcus continued, "Every victory we achieve is an important step forward, but there is still more to do. We must continue to fight for those who still have no voice, for those who have been wronged, and for a future where everyone is treated with fairness, dignity, and respect." The following days were filled with constant work. Marcus and his team took on new cases, helping victims of injustice find their way to redemption. One of the most moving cases involved a teenager named Miguel who was wrongly accused of theft. Marcus reviewed Miguel's case and discovered many inconsistencies. Together, he and Emily gathered new evidence and testimony. During the hearing, Marcus presented evidence with the same passion and determination that has always characterized him. "Judge, it's clear that Miguel was wrongly accused," he told the judge. "The evidence against him is fabricated and he deserves a new chance." The judge, impressed with the clarity and solidity of the evidence, dropped the charges against Miguel. The emotions on the faces of the teenager and his family were once again priceless. Marcus finds the act of making a difference in someone's life satisfying. With each victory, Marcus becomes more aware of the importance of his work. He knows the fight for justice is endless. But every step forward brings hope and real change. One quiet evening, Marcus was sitting in his office contemplating everything that had happened. Thomas walked in and sat next to him. "Marcus, I'm so proud of you," Thomas said, holding his brother's hand. "You faced enormous challenges and never gave up. Your courage and determination are inspiring." Marcus smiled, feeling grateful for his brother's unwavering support. "I couldn't have done any of this without you, Thomas. Your example and lessons have always guided me." Thomas nodded, his eyes filled with pride. "You have a bright future, Marcus. Keep fighting, keep making a difference. Marcus knows his work has just begun. With the support of his family, friends, and community, he is ready to face any challenges that come his way. The foundation continues to grow, helping more people and driving significant change. In the following months, Marcus and his team expanded their activities to other cities, taking the fight for justice and equality beyond their borders. Each new city that joins the movement is another step toward a more fair and equitable system. Marcus became a national figure, known for his courage and dedication. His story is a testament to the power of determination and the importance of fighting for what is right. He knows the road is long, but each victory and each person helping is proof that they are on the right track. And so, with the support of his community and the determination to never give up, Marcus continued his fight, inspiring others to join him. Atlanta was transformed by his actions, looking to the future with hope and determination, ready to face any challenge in the name of justice and equality. If you love engaging in true stories about life, click the subscribe button now to not miss any videos. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to receive the latest information from us. Thank you for your support and companionship.